You're listening to Our Space with Matt Batiste.
Joined today by Ryland of Origami Angel. Thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Hey, how are you doing, Matt? Thanks for having me. I'm really stoked to chat today.
So, Warped Tour. I want to start the chat off with Warped Tour. Okay, you guys just played DC. It's a hometown DC as well. It was your first Warped Tour. What was that like for you, playing your first Warped at home on top of everything?
Dude, it was so cool, honestly. Like, it was right in the middle of this summer tour that we're doing, and basically, it was always like this kind of middle block of the tour and something we thinking about, the set list, all this stuff, loading in, getting there super early. As soon as we got on that stage, it's weird. Like, I always say I never get nervous to play music because it's like we've done it for so long and I love to play it. But I saw how many people were there and I was like, okay, I'm actually incredibly nervous, which kind of makes me not nervous at all in a way. Like, because I think like sometimes I get so not nervous, I freak myself out where I'm like, oh, something's going to be, I'm too chill. At that show, it was so nerve-wracking. It's the most people I think I've seen in one place in my life. And I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. Like, this is going to be a great time. I loved our set. It was great. It was great to do it in DC. It was really cool. Like, there was a lot of hometown energy. There was a lot of people who I think have never heard of us or never seen us before. We got to open up one of the main stages. It was really, really cool. And we're really grateful for that. Yeah, like, I'd never even been to a Warped Tour in my life. So that was like the first time for everything for me. It was really cool.
That's pretty cool to be able to get to say that your first Warped Tour, you played it.
It is. I think some people might think I have no cred because of that, but I was doing other stuff when all my friends were at Warped Tour. I was listening to Screamo, Bandcamp Screamo.
Did you prepare for it in a different way than you did a regular show, or walk me through a little bit of that, or did you just kind of take it like day by day type thing?
I try to be very meticulous about the setting of what we're in and pretty much try to prepare every tour from headliner to headliner, support tour, anything. I try to prepare it for what we're in the setting of. And so for Warped Tour, I had been thinking about this set for months, for a long time. It's like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to open this? It's very similar to how we open our shows, except instead of a kind of beautiful, somber intro that we usually do on a headline show, we just had this dubstep remix that I programmed in a van in Europe. I was making a bunch of EDM in the van because I was really inspired. And there was a lot of that in the set, I guess, like that. So I'm familiar with Warped Tour energy and Warped Tour staples. And we completely designed a set that I felt channeled the energy of Warped Tour that I have received since not going there, but, seeing through the years and all my friends who were adjacent to that and being somewhat adjacent to it myself. So there's moments in our set that we've never done before that we did just at that Warped Tour show, just for the vibes,
And for the people that weren't there, what did you do differently at Warped Tour versus at a show?
So I said there's a dubstep remix of Dirty Mirror Selfie that we opened up with. And then we also a little live edit of the breakdown in our song Dr. Whomst. I made this pretty hard step remix of Love Sosa by Chief Keef that played alongside it and transitioned into another song that was kind of an homage to some things at Warped Tour that went down. It was our version, and it was something that I've been in this mindset recently of if there's something that I think, and I'm like, we probably shouldn't do that, it's kind of crazy, it's maybe too crazy, that means it's crazy enough that we probably should do it, like kind of rejecting that idea of being scared to do it, or rejecting the idea of pushing that boundary. I'm like, actually, that's why we should do it. So we did that, and it was fun. And I don't know if we'll ever do it again, but I loved it.
I love that so much. So like Warped Tour, obviously, it's known for people walking by, seeing a set, being like, oh, who's that? That sounds really good. And discovering new music, right? I think that's a big reputation that it has. So how did you pick out your set list amongst, your older songs to your newer songs? And what was the thought process in your set list and picking out songs for that, for getting those new people to join the Origami Angel party?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like you said, between older songs, newer songs, I look for something different in all of it, right? So like what we opened up the set with, Dirty Mirror Selfie has a riff in the beginning that I think is very ear catching. That if you didn't know us, maybe that will catch your ear and figure it out. It's very breakneck. It changes between the very heavy and dissonant passages, between very ambient and melodic passages, and has kind of one of our more anthemic choruses, I think. So we open up with that, but we transition immediately from that into an older hit of ours, 24-hour drive through, which is kind of like, okay, maybe you checked us out. You saw us. We were opening up the main stage. You didn't know that song. Now we go into this older one that everyone who has heard of us, they've probably heard of that song. Now they get into it, do that. We go into the song Self-Destruct, which goes through many, many different sorts of emotions, but has like a big rock synth like thing at the end, and that transitions into a breakdown. It's very, very emo. So you get that. You get the emo thing, and we transitioned it into bossa nova core, which has this math rock and this bossa nova doo-woppy jazz feel thing in the verse. And it's kind of like, I guess, in just that run of 4 songs, I'm trying to see what can I show someone that's never heard of us how unique our band is, while also being songs that I think that if you have heard of us, you would be stoked to see us play. And it's stuff that feels very part of a performance. It's not like there are songs that we have that maybe don't lend themselves to both of those things. Maybe there's songs that we have that lend us to, you're fond of the band and you want to hear a couple songs. And then there's some stuff that lends to just straight performance stuff. But I try to find the 6 to 8 that fill both of those voids perfectly.
And you perfectly did it. I mean, it was there. I caught your set, which was incredible.
Thank you.
That was a cool experience. Going to my first Warped Tour in like 15 years, and then seeing all of the bands doing it now was super cool. I really enjoyed that, and I had a few people messaging me saying like, "How come you didn't go see this person or that person?" And I was like, honestly, I was there to see all of the new bands because I feel like that's what Warped Tour was all about, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like going to see all of the newer and the younger bands and trying to find some new bands and I feel like that's really cool as well. In terms of festivals, obviously as an artist, you pick up new fans and more people discover you. But what do you prefer in terms of playing shows to fans that know your music and singing it back to you, or playing a big festival where, maybe you're bringing more people into the Gami gang?
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both, man, but I would be being disingenuous. I'd be being dishonest if I didn't ride for the thing I love to do more than anything at this stage in my life is to play a headline show. Really, like, we've put out so much music, and we're so lucky that there are people that care about all the different eras that this band has had, all the different musical transitions that we've gone throughout our career so far in almost 10 years. And I think that there's just something so fulfilling for me. I do a lot of the pre-production of our shows. I do a lot of the light design. I do a lot of the nitty-gritty things, and I feel so fulfilled when I'm able to create a set for a person in my head, kind of, that is like the central fan, someone who wants to hear all of this stuff, and just the experience that we get to create, and just then getting to go out and execute all that experience and getting to see people, maybe hearing a song that they didn't think we'd play. Like, we're doing a lot of songs from the Brightest Days, which is a kind of like not a collection of B-sides, but it's like some deeper cuts in our discography, and we're playing a bunch of songs of that in a row on this tour, and it's been like a really, really fun experience to see people get excited for that moment of the set. And just that's what I envision. I love playing festivals too, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but nothing can touch that feeling at a headline show. And really, just anybody being there to listen to your music is really cool, and we're really grateful for it. But I love so much the experience of putting together a show and executing it with all these transitions and all these moments. I think being able to create that moment, if there's something inherently special about a headliner, where there's a moment, whether or not the audience is anticipating it, that you can create and really make a special thing that hits everybody in the room in a sort of way. It's harder to get that at a festival, which is, kind of why, we do something different at the festival. And I think it's great to play both. But if I had to, my Desert Island show, that's a headline gig right there. Give me like an hour and 20 to play, and I'll have a great time.
I think one thing that you said there really stuck with me. I didn't realize that Brightest Days was a collection of B-sides.
Yeah, I guess I kind of misspoke in B-sides, but it's more like, how do I say this that's still respectful to the record? Because I'm still a very big fan of all those songs. It was maybe a little deviation in our course towards our third LP. It
Okay.
was a collection, experimental maybe, where it feels very left field for us, which is fun, and I love that. But that's why we consider it not an LP. It's kind of considered a mixtape alongside the three LPs.
Okay, that's fair. I love that record for what it's worth, by the
Oh,
way.
thank
Like
you. Thank you.
definitely. I've got it on vinyl and I spin
That's
that
awesome.
one fairly often. It's one of my favorites, like just throw on while I'm cleaning, doing whatever, even on a
That's so
drive.
cool.
Like it's just it puts you in a good mood. It's
I
one of those
appreciate
fun,
that, man.
quick ones to put you in a good mood.
It's quick, exactly. That's the thing about that one is that like it's it's so I think insular to its own sound on that record, which is why it's a mixtape. It's why we call it left field for us. It's very much its own thing, and it's quick, like you said. I think it's only 20 minutes long or something. But yeah, I have a lot of love for that project as well, and that's why we're playing a bunch of songs off this record. Being the summertime, being kind of topical. There's some things on that record that are very relevant currently, and yeah, it's just it's cool to see it get love, and I still have a lot of love for it. And the most love that it'll get is usually at a headline show.
Absolutely. There's also just like you also touched on this a little bit as well. There's a lot of different vibes with Origami Angel and sort of almost like eras of Origami Angel. So when you're coming up with, let's call it a vibe for a project, how do you find that vibe or decide what you want to do? Are you just sort of like writing songs and being like, hey, these songs kind of all go together? Or is it just sort of like, hey, let's do something a little bit more experimental or happy or whatever the vibe is?
I think it's something different for each project, honestly. I think it lies in between those two most of the time. When there comes to, just being on the topic of Brightest Days, that was one where I went in with a clear mission. Writing, I was like, I want this to feel surfy and feel beachy and feel bittersweet and, feel summery at the same time as having the message that I wanted within it. And that one was a very clear mission of creating the vibe. There are other songs or other times where I work a lot on the riffs or a lot on the sonics, the sonic identity of a record, such as Feeling Not Found is one that took a long time for me to really flesh out. And then I kind of figure out what is speaking to me lyrically on a record like that. And that was kind of the thing that tied all those songs together. Because that record does have quite a bit of tonal shifts on it, but it was the lyrical
Mm-hmm.
content and the message behind most of the songs that tied them together into the one project. So just in those two examples, I think it's pretty different where I could take a bunch of stuff that I threw on the wall and kind of find what I want lyrically or message wise or riff wise, sometimes all three, and put that together. And there's another time where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make some fun summer shit and just go and do that. And I love both those methods, That's the joy of creating is you get to try new shit all the time.
Yeah, and you definitely tried new shit with Feeling Not Found. Coming up to almost a year now. That was released last year, which is crazy. How are you feeling about the record now that it's had more time to breathe and sit and it's been out there in the world
Yeah,
for almost a year?
I am still incredibly proud of that album. Maybe more now than when it released. Getting to play the songs, getting to play places we've never played ever off of that album has been one of the greatest experiences of my life, and more than I could have ever anticipated. Just the journey that we've been on, and that kind of being, the current top of the mountain. I'm really just stoked on that record. I'm not one to like listen to the albums too much because I like to let the songs have their own identity live because I think it's really fun. But I listened to some songs a few days ago, and I'm still really really proud of what we were able to make, and I just I'm stoked on that, and it makes me even stoked for what could come after.
Is there something that you have planned for next? And I know that might be an early question. You just released an album not even a year ago. You're on tour right now. Are you starting to mentally think of what the next step is for Origami Angel, or are you just sort of enjoying the moment right now?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't, always have plans and have ideas that I was going through. But I do think Um, Not to play to both sides here, but this has been a record and a time in my life where I've really made an effort to step back and really enjoy this moment. Um, I feel like when we did the first headliner off the Feeling Not Found in October of last year, I made a pretty distinct effort to not try to think about what comes next. I think for so much of my musical life, I've always been thinking about the next show, the next album, the next song, and never really getting to savor these really, really important moments. You know, I have friends around me who were part of that, and they got to savor it while I was, in La La Land thinking about the next thing. And I really was able to kind of have an emotional renaissance, honestly, with the music. And I went through so many trials and tribulations on that record, particularly. And I think the nice cap to that was getting to play it live and really appreciate this, appreciate playing in Webster Hall, appreciate playing at Theater of the Living Arts in Philadelphia, appreciate the release show of that album and the 5-year anniversary of Somewhere City at 930 Club and playing those rooms and feeling the love there without thinking about what's the next show, without thinking about what I'm about to write tomorrow, without thinking about any of that stuff. And it it's helped me be more in tune, I think, with the band than I've ever been before, and really feel more confident in what we're portraying instead of, what people want us to portray, I guess, or what the imaginary critic in my head thinks that people want. I think that living in the moment is obviously it's a very like cliche thing, and it's something that is said a lot, but it's something that I never really did before this album or this touring cycle, and just getting to do it, I'm super super proud of what we've been able to do off of this album. But yeah, I'm always planning stuff in the background. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
I love that answer, but I love that you're, obviously you've got plans within your head, but to stop and actually enjoy the roses, smell the flowers, like that's kind of what it sounds like you're doing right now with this tour. And then in August, you're going to be in the UK as well.
Yeah, going back.
That sounds exciting. I want to talk a little bit about, your music in general and some of the themes that are in your songs.
Sure.
Some themes of digital overload, nostalgia, feeling disconnected at points in time. What's your relationship with social media like?
It's hard to give a concise answer. Obviously, I think social media in general has helped my life a lot. It has helped my band get to the point that it is. It's helped me network with people. It's helped me meet our record label owner. It's helped our, people who have helped us along the way find out about who we are. But, it's like all things, it's always going to be a double-edged sword. I'm definitely the type of person who could see one negative thing and it's a million times louder than the thousands of positive things, the thousands of funny things. And that's not just even for like our band in general, but for anything. I see one thing of negativity and it's very easy for me to rail my thought process by seeing one of those things and how it echoes in my mind. So there have been points of time in my life where I have tried to not use social media at all. There's still times where I'm scared to click on the band tab. There are times where I don't do it at all. There's times where I write a tweet about something that I love and I delete it all because I'm scared that people don't want to hear about what I love or that I should be afraid of sharing things like that. And all of it's, not real, but it's real in here. And that's the relationship I currently have. And I touched a bit on it on Feeling Not Found. I touch a bit on it on other songs too, but it's something that, like I said, is a double-edged sword. It's something I'm grateful for, that it has brought a lot of people into my life. It's brought so many friends, so many listeners, so many even colleagues and, bands that I've been able to meet and bands I'm fans of that we've been able to network. Fucking Porter Robinson and I have interacted on Twitter, and that's the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life, but like, none of that happens without socials. But there's also so much anxiety that's just always living here that it just gets a little weird sometimes.
How do you balance that with trying to promote your music and make those connections with also sort of avoiding the negativity?
It's hard. I would say I don't really do a great job of balancing that type of shit. We luckily like have someone who posts on our socials like when we're on tour and posts about tours, so I don't have to remember to set an alarm at 12 p.m. to post that we're going on a tour or that we have a show coming. We have a great team of lovely people who all contribute to that, so that I don't have to spend as much of my mental efforts in that regards. But in terms of like reaching out to people, yeah, that's great. That's great. And I'm so lucky for that. I feel very lucky for that. In terms of like reaching out to people or wanting to connect to people, that's the shit where I'm just like, I just always think everyone in the world is kind of think I'm lame, you know? And that's the part where I'm like, I don't want to do it, but I know that there's part of me that's also going to be mad if I don't try to reach out to somebody or share something or like really embrace the things that I love and try to showcase my personality in a way. There's so many layers to that. So many things to unpack with that.
I only laugh because I feel like that's like such a universal thing, unless it's just like the two of us. I don't know. Maybe it's just us. Like if you're watching this on YouTube and it's not you, you can let me know and write a comment. If it's a universal thing, let me know as well. But yeah, I feel like that's a fairly common universal feeling.
I think so too. And that's kind of what brings it back together, where I'm able to say like, you know what? We're all just people behind a screen. Everyone else that I want to talk to probably feels equally as awkward, hopefully, or else I'm just, the weird one. But it is what it is, man.
Hey, man, listen, maybe that's why the music is so relatable, right? That's why people are listening.
Yay.
What's the biggest difference in your songwriting now versus when you first started? I know you went from producing your first record in your bedroom to, now Feeling Not Found, like a great record. You're playing Warped Tour, you're going on these big tours, you've got some support behind it now. Like, what's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference? There's lots of differences. Back in the day, I didn't really cherish a song that I had written the way that I think I should have. And I think that's made me look at music a lot differently. Just having worked in this for years now, being, doing multiple tours and realizing that, there's value in this, has also made me value my own work, whether it be emotionally, financially, or really just like as a body work as a whole, just valuing it. It's made me treat it differently for sure. I think back in the day, I would have a track that I would write, and maybe there's a great part, maybe it didn't repeat at all, and I'd say, whatever, who cares? And I think that, not to say I would go back and change anything, because honestly I wouldn't. I love what 19-year-old me did on all those songs. I think it's kind of cool. It's cool to just have this time capsule of who I used to be and getting to play shows and imagining those feelings again, and feeling that on stage. It's really a great thing, honestly. Again, living in the moment has helped me experience that a lot more. But I think the biggest thing now is that when there is a moment in a song, I insist on it not being a fleeting moment. I want every moment to have its time in the sun, and I want to make sure that every song, if it does have that moment, that it's getting the treatment that it needs. So I'd say that's the biggest difference overall, is that I think I revisit stuff a lot more. Back in the day, I would just do it. If it was cool, it was cool. If it's bad, it's bad. And there's probably a lot of ideas that I had that I threw away because I just didn't want to retool it the way that I should have. But now I think when I have something, I'm dedicated to making sure that it works. And also, if I have something that I know is not working, I don't want to put it on an album. I don't want to see this light of day in a recording studio until I know that it's what I want. And I'm a lot more intentional about that. Yeah, fuck it. Like if I don't feel good about listening to it, I know that Will Yip, our producer, is not. How could I believe anybody's going to? I want to make sure that everything has a lot more intentionality between the songwriting, the structure. When we decide to break traditional structure, I want it to be in something. I get that. That's the biggest difference overall is the moments. I want to really hone in on the moments.
You mentioned your older music, you wrote at 19. You mix in a variety of different stuff from your old stuff to your new stuff when you're playing live shows. Are there songs on your set list that are older that you kind of think that like fans want, but you don't necessarily want to play anymore because you've outgrown them?
That, no. I think that every song in our set list is a song I want to play. And I think that we're lucky to have enough songs that we can build a 22 song set list and it can be all songs that we want to play. Yeah, even the older stuff that's in the set is still stuff I want to hear. Like, that shit's cool. That shit's cool. Like, I know people like that for a reason. People like Somewhere Sleep for a reason. Like, I want to play those songs.
Absolutely. In your songs, you reference a whole bunch of non-music stuff, Pokemon, anime,
Sure.
math rock, all that.
Yeah.
What non-music stuff sort of inspires you the most?
I take a lot of small inspiration from a lot of stuff. I do love art, love movies, shows. Like, getting manically into a show is like something that I think really helps me write music. Not even if it's directly about it, but just finding little things. I'll say shows more than anything. Like, going back to a show, like going back to an Avatar: The Last Airbender and being like, oh, there's themes in here that you don't think about when you're not watching it that I could throw into some shit. And that's just like a crazy example. But like, honestly, it's the only reason I'm thinking about it is because on our flight back from Tokyo, I watched the entire series on the plane. But but I love,
You've got the time.
Yeah, it's so great, so great. And I just love to dive into something new or old and be so invested in that and not the music that the music kind of just pours out. I feel like that's when I've ended up writing the best stuff. But it could be anything. It could be shows, movies, it could be NBA basketball, it could be art, it could be the state of the world, it could be anything that I take the most inspiration from at any given moment. I think it's different for every track, every project.
Totally.
Video games, obviously.
If you could actually write the soundtrack to any video game or anime series, which one would it be and why?
Dude. I mean, the obvious one is like, let me get in there for any sort of Pokemon game. If it's a remake, if it's a new one, like I would love to do that. Let me work with my goat Masada. That would be so fun. Y'all got Toby Fox in the Pokemon Gen 9. Maybe you get Origami Angel in for Pokemon Gen 10. Could be fun, man. It could be really fun. But other than that, something that's realistic, like maybe like a movie or a TV show or something. I feel like if there was like a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 3, like I would love to, that feels right. Or like if there was ever some like new IP that was like a punkier offshoot of Guardians of the Galaxy or something, like something adjacent to that. That was like, instead of being like so 70s and 80s music coded, that was like 2005 coded. That's what I want to make for. So it doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist, but let me be the music director for that. Like, I don't even have to perform. I'll scout it out, produce the record for you, then do it. We can do it all in my house. I promise it'd be fucking awesome. At low cost, high reward. But I'll just say those three. Two things that are real and one that's not. Actually, one thing that's real, two that are.
If you're listening and watching right now and you just got an idea, we got someone for the soundtrack.
Listen, I'm always here. Always trying to make music.
When someone discovers Origami Angel for the first time, what's the one song that you hope they hear first? Like, where should people start within your discography? Where do you think they should start?
Self-Destruct, I think. Self-Destruct. Because I think that song is there's not like a real chorus of the song. There's many parts that are all very hooky. It evolves, it flows, it feels like water to me. Like, in that it just kind of always feels like this wave. It's the first true song on our second LP after an instrumental interlude, the electronic instrumental, or not interlude, starts the album. Prelude, maybe. Well, it's a beat. It's a beat that goes in. It's like attack. Okay. So it starts with a breakdown. It uses a modal shift that I really like to get out of this minor thing, get into this happier thing, and then it goes into this verse. That verse turns into a pre-chorus. The pre-chorus kind of turns into a chorus that never repeats. That turns into this outro with this beautiful synth thing that I'm really, really proud of. And it comes back to this breakdown. And the breakdown's the only thing that repeats, but it's the second track on our second record. Our first record is so overwhelmingly positive and very self-affirming, and I feel like life-affirming. And this track on our second record, I think, is deceivingly heartbreaking and kind of gutting at points. And I love how much emotion is in that song. I love that I can still feel what I was feeling when I was writing that song as a very young person. I think I was 20 years old when I started writing that song. And I love that I can still feel it to this day. And that every time we play it, I still feel as proud of it or more proud than the day I wrote it or the day I started. And it's a song that I have always put on like our Mount Rushmore of songs since I wrote it and since it's been out. And it's a special song in our discography. And I think that's a really good place to start. Someone might tell you title track. That's cool. But I think Self-Destruct has a little bit of everything that we do on it.
The feeling is found with that one.
For sure.
What's something that people always get wrong about Origami Angel that you like to just clear the record with right now?
We don't need a bassist. My rig is really good. It's really good. But I think a lot of people know that now. I think a lot of people have seen us and they think that we don't need it, you know? The rig is awesome. I put as much energy or more energy into our live rig and reproducing bass sounds with the guitar than I've put into writing music. It's been more of an engineering feat than a musical feat at times. Something I'm immensely proud of, that we are able to sound like that. I'd say that, but that doesn't really feel like clearing the air. I don't know what to clear the air. I'm not as tapped in anymore, as I don't know what the misconceptions are. I think people call us happy emo a lot of time. I'd say the majority of our songs are not happy. I'd say the majority of them has some pretty sad shit going on. But, to each their own.
Actually, the first time that I saw you guys live, it was the first day that I found Origami Angel. You guys opened up for the Wonder Years on their Suburbia and Upsides tour.
Yep.
And I had no idea who you guys were. I drove 3 hours to that show because it was them and Spanish Love Songs opening.
Yeah.
And I think it was you guys and Oso Oso as well.
Safe
and it's Safe Face. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all good.
And yeah, it was just such a stacked line. I didn't know who Safe Face was at that time either. Didn't know who you were, and showed up at the show early. Got to check you both out, and yeah, put on one hell of a show. And I was like, okay, I have to check these guys out when I get home. But the whole two guys, no bass player thing, it threw me off. I was like, where is that? But like, it sounds full.
Hell
but
yeah.
Like, how does it sound full without a bassist? Like, what was so talk me through, just let's go to the beginning in terms of just the two of you. How did you decide, hey, we don't need a bassist. We don't need anything else besides the two of us?
Well, me and Pat, our drummer, we were in a band before that really wasn't, it was like a high school band, It was like, okay, we want to keep making music as that fizzled out. And I was like, I got you. Like, let's do this stuff. But I was like, let's make some two-piece music. We can sound like Mobo and Giraffes. By the way, we sound like neither of those things. Never have, never will. It's not possible. But we, I was like, I think I have an idea to do this. I had the building blocks of a rig. I was obsessed, no pun intended, with this band, The Obsessives from DC. And at the time, they were a two-piece. And they would put on a show that sounded so amazing and so full and so just, it was louder than a five-piece. They were an amazing live band, an amazing studio band, and they still were when they were a five-piece and both in the studio and live. But seeing that changed something in me, like seeing them do it as a two-piece, and I wanted to do it from that moment. I had the building blocks of the rig, and I was kind of working on some stuff, splitting my signal in a couple ways, figuring out how we could make do. Got this crazy pedal board that I put together, built most of it, like hand-wired it myself, modded the shit out of my first guitar just to make it happen. And then everything that came after that was kind of a step in another direction, a step in having the tone be better. But it's gotten to the point now where I feel very, very confident in our bass replication rig. So much so that I believe that there are probably a lot of people who think that we have bass tracks, but we don't. We have some track element in our music, but it's not bass. Anything that is happening on stage, there is no track of. There's no vocal track if I'm the one singing it. There's nothing like that. There are harmonies that come in because of a vocoder that we have programmed. There are patch changes that happen along with the tracks that we have for certain elements, like a Self-Destruct or uh, my PG County Summer that have synth elements. But in terms of bass, there is no bass track on any live performance we have ever done, the same way that there's no drum or guitar or main vocal track. I feel so good about that. And it was always part of the identity. And it's something that I always like hang my head on. It's like, listen, like we can sound on this stage like as big as a 3, 4, 5, 6, you name it, how many people band because of this rig and because of Pat's ability on the drums. And we can just combine that together and make something that's incredibly unique. And I've never wanted to be like another band other than the Obsessives. Like, I think that, like you said, you see, how are they doing this? There's two people, it throws you off. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to be like a 3-piece or a 4-piece or a 5-piece. I want to be Origami Angel. I want to be Ryland. I want Pat to be Pat, you know? And it's in an industry where everyone wants you to be something that already exists. But I love making something that's never existed before. It's the funnest part of this job.
The ones that usually do that are usually the ones that stick out and stand out and end up going a lot further as well. Yeah.
They stick around, man. And that's like that. And it's even if it wasn't that, even if we were a flash in the pan and all this ended soon, I would still love that this was something special and unique. You know, like the idea of doing something that few are doing is just, it's what motivates me to keep making the rig better, keep making our shows better, keep adding things in terms of what we can do on our own, like as two people. What new things can we do? Can we add these vocal loops like we've been doing on this tour, like looping sections? And can we add like the vocoder stuff, which is I think added a whole other dimension to our set? Just things like that. It really enables me to think as both a musician and kind of like a musical engineer at the same time in terms of what we're building. And I love this project just being my testing grounds for all these crazy fucked up ideas that I have.
You mentioned earlier on the show as well that you put together everything for your live performances as well, and you plan all of that. So that's all on your own. Man, how do you come up with all of that? Because you're doing a lot for your live shows, and like that's also a lot of work to be ripping that out and setting that all up. And walk me through that.
It's a bit of work. We have guys helping us out here. So in terms of the pre-production, I even kind of downplayed it a little bit. I don't like to, always toot the own horn, but I am in charge of 100% of it. And that amounts to not only the song programming, all that shit we were talking about, vocoders, synth stuff, like set list and design, all stuff. That normal bands, that's pretty much how it is. But I also built the current lighting rig that we use. All the lights were built by hand. I have cabinets that are guitar cabinets that have sound coming out of them, but also have lights installed inside of them. And I programmed an entire light show for every show that we've done with them. Some other lights too that exist that I also hand built. I am lucky enough that this is my job. This is my only job currently. Well, it's my only main job currently. Let's say that. I produce records on the side. But Origami Angel is what pays the bills, and that is something I'm so grateful for. But something I never want to do is be complacent in this job. The reason that people have supported us, the reason that we have had a listener base and people that will come to shows is because of, I think, the hunger that we have always had and the hunger that I've always had to take it to the next level. And I do believe in my heart of hearts that I owe it to everyone who's helped us on this journey to kind of always be pushing that envelope. And I will use the time that I could just be hanging out at home to every day get ready for this headline show, this headline tour, everything. I want to use all of that time to make a show that blows people away, blows me away, a show that we're fully satisfactory on our end, while also keeping a lot of stuff in my control. I want to be the person building it. I want to look like what I want to look like. So I'm going to caulk, super glue these LED strips inside of my cabinet. I'm going to replace the grill cloth with a reflective 3M material because I think it looks badass. It looks badass in pictures. I want to design the light show. I want to do all of this shit because I have the vision. And I also think something that's so unique about our situation is I have learned all these skills. Like we're talking about making the bass rig, producing records. Like I have all this knowledge from doing all this stuff on our own in this band. I'm not going to stop using it. Like, and I want to learn more shit. I've learned how to, program light show. I've learned how to solder LEDs through a fucking guitar cabinet. Like, I don't know. It's all relatively easy. I've got carpenter skills now, but I want to use all those skills to make a great product and make something that it really is an extension of us. And it's something I'm always thinking about adding more to. And that it currently in my life is something I get a lot of satisfaction from, like just being able to build out a show, build out, literally physical set pieces and showcase that. Like when we get to play a show, it's like, hey, we have all this cool shit, all these moments, all this little, I think it adds maybe 5%, maybe less, but it's important to me, that it exists and that it's there. Yeah, it's just for the love of the game.
You're clearly killing it, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. I know you're enjoying the moment, and I want you to enjoy the moment. I'm really excited to see what comes next with Origami Angel. One thing that we do here on the show before we wrap things up is we do a little shout out section. It's something that I've done from the beginning to, the goal is to grow the scene and discover new music.
For sure.
Whether it's the people that I'm interviewing or the people at the end of the show shouting some people out. So who are some underappreciated bands that you think, or artists that you think deserve a little bit extra love right now?
For sure. Let me throw some love to the bands on the tour package that we're currently on right now. That'd be Saturdays at Your Place, Chase Petra, and Combat. 3 amazing bands. Saturdays at Your Place, they are fucking up next in this emo world, man. They are so good. They're such great people. Chase Petra is putting on a ridiculous live show every night. It's like, I think people will be like in 3 years, but I can't believe that was like a 2 of 4 band on a tour that played in Omaha, Nebraska, because they're going to be crushing it. And Combat is a band that I'm very close to personally. I produced their most recent album. They're hometown heroes of mine, kind of. They're young kids that constantly remind me the spark that I used to have when I was their age, the spark that I still have and needs to get reignited sometimes. They have been such a good band to work with, such a good band to see blossom in this situation. Yeah, and like I said, like they bring so much joy to my life as a friend, as a colleague, as a companion. I'm really just all 3 of those bands bring so much joy, and I love them all. A couple other shout outs. Some bands I think are doing such cool stuff that aren't getting as much recognition. 2 that come to my immediate thinking right now is the band Hey I Love You, Hey, ILY. Really, really cool blend of emo, proggy elements in there, chiptune elements in there. Such a cool band, such a cool band. One of my favorites, and just like, so much ingenuity and so much forward thinking in that music. And then in a similar vein, this band from Canada called I Dialed Your Number, I think is doing a very similar thing. They actually collaborated on the most recent record that I Dialed Your Number put out, but same thing where it's like it's very nostalgic, but at the same time breaking new grounds in this chiptune and emo, pseudo abrasive, pseudo beautiful world. So I Dialed Your Number, all one word, and Hey Illy or Hey I Love You. Those are a couple other shout outs that aren't on the tour right now.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Ryland, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time. It was a fun chat. Was there anything that we missed that maybe you wanted to talk about or promote before we fully wrap things up?
Nothing I can think of. I just want to say thank you for having me on. I always love to chat about this music stuff whenever I get the chance. So thank you for the platform, and this has been a really, really good off day for me.
I love to hear that as well. So make sure if you haven't heard of Origami Angel yet, go and check them out. Their latest album, Feeling Not Found. And if you have a chance to catch them on tour, definitely do so. They're in the middle of a tour right now. And if you're watching or listening from the UK, well, go and have a look at their upcoming UK dates as well. Thanks again, Ryland.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Our Space with Matt Batiste. If you enjoyed yourself, please support the show by subscribing and leaving a review.